Well, welcome to the podcast. Super excited you're here today. Would you like to introduce yourself, and we'll get started there?
Yeah, I'm Jenny Askins. I am the founder of Touronimo and co-founder of Destination Huntsville.
Awesome. Well, so we'll kind of talk a little bit about your background first, to kind of like set up the story of Touronimo and kind of how you got started with Touronimo. But are you originally from the Huntsville area, or did work or family kind of bring you here?
My family brought me here in the early 80s, and I guess I got here, it was about 83
Okay.
when I arrived. So, yeah, I've been here since about 82, 83, and feel like I'm
A Huntsville native,
yeah,
pretty much.
exactly. Probably as much as anyone else. So, yeah. And so I've been here a while. I love Huntsville. I love everything about it. I've enjoyed so much watching it grow, and I have wanted to be a part of that. And I think I found a way to do that.
I think so too. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that, did you think when you first came here in the 82, 83 that you were going to be here for the rest of your life, or did you imagine that you were going to be traveling and live somewhere else?
Honestly, I never thought I would move from the small town that I was from originally.
Really?
I'm from Calhoun County, Anniston, Alabama, about 2 hours south. And I never dreamed we would move from that. I mean, I just couldn't see anything else. And so when we got here, no, I really didn't. I thought we'll be here, and this is where I'll live the rest of my life. It'll be fine. So,
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I mean, I would assume in that time frame, I mean, Huntsville was still a very small town. I mean, it was. I mean, even in the last, 5 or 6 years, Huntsville's really blossomed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
yeah.
the downtown Huntsville revitalization really happened in 2017, and so seeing even in the last, that's 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I was graduating high school in 2017, and so like that's when Huntsville downtown became a thing. I mean, I never once ventured downtown growing up really that much. My aunt lived downtown, so you kind of explore downtown from that perspective.
Yeah.
But no one was ever out downtown at night. It was never really a place people just walked around, and it's hard nowadays to not go downtown at any time of the year and not see people just walking around and enjoying themselves.
Oh yeah, the foot traffic now
It's
is
insane.
amazing, and I just would never have thought that would be a thing. And there was a Sunday afternoon, it was a random Sunday. I knew there was going to be some jazz music playing over at Stella's downtown, and it was a musician I wanted to check out. So I thought, I'm going to ride over there. It's probably, won't be a big crowd. I'll go down
That's
and park.
Sunday.
Yeah, it's a Sunday afternoon. I'll go check it out. And I could not find a parking place. And I was like, what has happened?
It's completely changed. And I think there's definitely places and businesses that have opened up in the downtown area that have really kind of sparked that. And I think Stella's is definitely one of it, being open 7 days a week.
Yeah.
When I had Angela on, that was a huge part of her thing. And she's like, I want it to be open 7 days a week. I want people to have the opportunity, no matter what day of the week it is, to come and enjoy the atmosphere, the environment. And I think she's definitely created a space that's unique.
Yeah.
And is a testament to just what downtown Huntsville is now.
Absolutely.
So you've worked in a lot of different facets here in Huntsville, I think, from the Trash Pandas to a variety of other things. Talk a little bit about sort of what your background is in and sort of what you were doing prior to launching Touronimo in 2019.
Sure. So I was fortunate enough to be selected to participate in a Leadership Huntsville program. So I was in their young professional class, which was the Connect class. And that was Connect Class 6, and I think they're on 20-something now.
Wow.
So that tells you how long it's been. But that experience really changed everything for me. That was what gave me insight into Huntsville, how it runs, how it works, who the people are, the people that care about our city. So it just introduces you to just about every facet of the community. So I enjoyed that. I volunteered after that to help with the other programs. And then when the position of alumni director came available, I jumped in. I was like, I want to work at Leadership Huntsville.
Okay.
That's my
And
thing.
what year was this around?
This was, that's been at least... It was 5 years ago when I left. So I was there about 7 or 8 years before that. So what is that?
2010, I guess you started probably?
Yeah, somewhere about
Wow,
around
2010,
there.
2011.
Yeah. So I stayed there and again, just loved it. Wound up serving as the alumni director, then did their focus program, and then wound up being the leadership program director for a couple of years. And so just loved it. Enjoyed showing everybody the community, and all the different hidden gems that we have. And there were a lot of people that would go through the class that would say, I've lived here all my life and I didn't know this existed.
Yeah. I mean, even Huntsville, I mean, I guess when you started, there was still tons of hidden gems at that early years. But now, I mean, I couldn't imagine trying to navigate that Connect program now and just thinking like, I mean, it's hard on a day-to-day basis for me to not be like, I feel like I'm aware of a lot of things that are going on just because of what I do. But there's so much that I walk around. I'm like, I had no idea this was there. I had no idea someone's in the Clinton Row shops doing this. And I think like I couldn't imagine trying to navigate hidden gems of Huntsville in 2023. Because I mean, it'd be a full-time job. It would be a lot of work to navigate that.
Absolutely.
So it seems like in that career with Leadership Huntsville, you really kind of got well connected with the local community.
Correct.
And kind of almost led up to your next job once you left there, going to the Trash Pandas, I believe.
Right. So, so I was kind of poached from Leadership to go out to the Trash Pandas. The owner was up in Vermont and needed some boots on the ground person to kind of introduce what was going to be happening, what was coming to Huntsville or to Madison, to the community. And so, so I was their first hire to come and do that. And so that was a full year of really figuring out what entrepreneurship is about. I mean, yes, baseball's been around, but this team was a startup. It was branding and groundbreakings and name the team contests and
everything.
All the things. Yes, it was a startup from scratch. We had a baseball team, but they were down in Mobile at the time, and so so when I came in, it was setting up the office. I did the groundbreaking, and then we did the logo reveal, the name the team contest. I just learned so much in that year about how to create something and how to build up anticipation and do logos and things like that, to get the excitement going. And that's what they hired me for. So that's what I was doing. I'm doing a lot of the social media and things like that. So that was a lot of fun. But after a year, it was a lot. There was a feeling of, if I'm going to work this hard, I'm going to do something I want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, baseball's fine, but it's
was
not
that your
my
first
thing.
sort of like taste of entrepreneurship, or did you have any like? Was there ever an itch for entrepreneurship prior to that moment for you?
No. I mean, I'd always been an up or out girl.
Yeah.
Like I'm either going to move up or I'm moving on.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And so that's I kind of hit my ceiling at Leadership, where I had done all the things I could do, and so that I knew it was time to move on. So that was fine. And so then moving on over to that, yes, it was a completely different experience.
And you had no desire to own the team, like just go up from where you were to be the owner of the Trash Pandas?
Not necessarily owner, but of course I did have my sights on different positions.
Yeah.
And when they hired me at the beginning, it was to create community partnerships. And that made sense coming from Leadership. What it felt like once I got over there is kind of like how about the same as you'd run a nonprofit. I mean, they weren't making any money at the time because the team wasn't here, that kind of thing. So, we weren't bringing any money at the time. So it was all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Which I came from that world. You know, you do everybody does everything, no matter what your title is. If the trash needs taken out, if the bathrooms need
You're
cleaned.
often just changing hats because you're doing a little bit of everything.
Exactly. So that was a big thing of that entrepreneur light bulb.
Yeah.
You do what needs done. And so so that's what we were doing. And about 3 months in, I did change titles. I became vice president. We were just doing everything. Everybody was handling everything. So anyway, so I got the title, and so the possibility was there of moving up in the business. But like I said, after a year, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart.
No,
I mean,
especially if it's something that's really not like. Yes, you enjoyed it, but it wasn't your like baseball wasn't your passion. It's not like you're just going home every day and throwing the baseball around and like constantly watching the 162 games, whatever they play in baseball. Like that was not something you're just like, yes, I love this. This is my passion. Right. So when you're doing everything and it's not really like you've bought into it because it's the job and you enjoy it, but you're not you're not loving it.
Right.
It's not like,
exactly.
and it's tough not to love it when you're doing it all the time.
Right. It's long hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I know now from what I'm doing now, I mean, it's all the time. And if you don't have a passion for that particular thing, you're just going to burn yourself out.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of, that's what happened to me. It was constant. It needed to be nurtured all the time. And it just wears you out.
Yeah.
So I did that for a year, and then I thought, okay, I can't. If I'm going to work this hard, like I said, I'm going to do something I love. And so I took about 3 months after leaving the stadium to just kind of decompress and think about what I wanted to do next. And I decided I did want to start my own business, and I was trying to kind of get inspired for what that might look like. And I knew that I loved Huntsville, and I knew that I wanted to share Huntsville with more people than just the 52 people in a leadership class that I got to do every year.
For sure.
I thought there's got to be a better way, another way, not a better way, to expand and do that where more people have the opportunity to find things. And so I started researching tech companies on the West Coast, because in my brain, I think a lot of cool things happen on the West Coast.
And then slowly make it to Alabama.
Yeah, years later, you know,
Yes.
you hear the song that was #1 in California.
Yeah. You're like, wow, this is crazy. How long has this been around? Well, 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we've had that. So I looked at a list of the top 10 tech companies, and this woman had created this company that was kind of like a tours by local type thing. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And I wondered if it was in Huntsville, and it wasn't. And so I thought, well, I'm not even going to franchise. I don't even want to be a part of that. I said, I'll just create my own thing. And so started just kind of tossing that idea around in my head, working with some friends, Nevin Langton and Austin Spencer, with a logo. And
where did the name Touronimo come from?
Just kind of, I'd say brainstorming, but it was Google storming. Just putting in what the business was going to do, and then looking for words that kind of, you know, were like that. And then I saw Geronimo, and then just with the tours and things like that, just kind of started working with it.
Yeah.
Just kind of moving it around, and then came up with Touronimo.
Okay.
And so I know some people think it's Touronimo. It's not. It's Touronimo, pronounced like Geronimo. So came up with that, started putting all the pieces together. That was in 2019. So by the fall of 2019, like September, I launched with the help of a whole lot of people. A lot of my friends from leadership that did things already were willing to share some of their experiences and things, and become Touronimo guides for me. So we had a good solid 8 different diverse types of things. And that was another piece of it, was wanting really diverse things. I didn't want all food experiences or all, you know, one particular thing. So we had a music experience. We had a food experience. We had a hike. We had a history walk. We had a wine tasting, just all kinds of different things.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is, as I think when we first met, we were talking a little bit about it, but I think I first heard of Touronimo right around the same time you launched, because there was a small business, the SBDC was doing a how to start a small business. Yeah. And it was in 2019. And I had just started the podcast in the May of 2019. So that fall, I went to that thing because I was I already had a couple clients doing social media work for. I was like, I'm going to go to this thing and learn a little bit. Yeah. I think I was by far the youngest person there by probably 25 years. Yeah. I could have been everyone's child, but that was funny. But it was we sat there, and you came up on to the front and was talking about Touronimo.
Yeah.
Matt Jones. You and so it was such a funny thing, because I think back at that, I was like, wow, that was. You know, the podcast maybe had 6 episodes out at the time, and now we're on, I think, 156.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. It's crazy that it's come full circle now, and then we're having you on the podcast. But that was my first sort of introduction to what you were doing, and it was, I guess, right at the same time of you launching it.
Yeah, and it's funny, you know, we mentioned before we started that there's a lot of time where you really do not know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just kind of going forward. And yeah, I didn't know what this would become. I knew I wanted to do it. I knew it was something we kind of needed.
Yeah.
I mean, I know everybody wouldn't think so, but I would just look at little cities like Savannah or Raleigh or places like that where they have Nashville, where they have different kinds of tours and things. And I thought we should have that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a cool city. We should
100%. I mean, in 2019, like we still had quite a bit, but there was still a lot of unknown. I mean, I know when I first started the podcast, it was one of those things I was constantly learning from people that I had no idea they were doing this in Huntsville.
Yeah.
And I would ask them, how long have they been doing it? Oh, we've been doing it 5-6 years.
Yeah.
It's like, you've been doing this since 2013. Like, where have I been?
Right.
And then so now it's like, I feel like I'm kind of caught up on that now a little bit, but there's so much out there. And so Touronimo sort of launches in 2019. You start growing it. What was the initial response from the community? Did they buy in on the idea? Was it a little confusing for them? Or like, what did that look like when you first started running these tours?
Yeah, it was confusing a little bit because it was something brand new to everybody. Yeah. And so I would just try to explain it. It's like if you're a local and you have something you want to share, if you want to share a downtown tour or an art mural stroll or a guitar lesson or something like that, or I mean, I was thinking way out of the box back then. Like if you want to do a local Southern meal and let people, come to your house and things like that and enjoy dinner with you, those sort of things. So I would explain that to them. It's an online marketplace for locals to share tours and experiences, like an Etsy or an Airbnb, and you create your profile on there. You set your date and how much you want to charge, and I manage the website platform for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, it was a little bit of a struggle, but the people that did buy in totally bought in. Yeah, they got it. They loved it. And they're like, yes, we have this in blah, 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 or Austin, or, I mean, there were different variations of it
and Huntsville's such a melting pot of other cities and other experiences. Yeah. So like people are coming from, especially, I mean, now more than ever, but even at 2019, I mean, there's a ton of people that were traveling here for work that have lived in bigger cities all across the country, and they come here and they expect to have the same thing.
That's huge. Exactly. Yes. And that's, as we talk about all this, I mean, that's how this has grown so much, is because of everybody that comes here that expect all the things. And so, yes, it was, I thought it was going to be a great little thing, a fun little thing to play with and to grow and see what happened. And so my goal for 2020 in January was to start going and speaking at different organizations to kind of spread the word that Touronimo was here if you wanted it. Mm-hmm. And I'd made some appointments with some marketing and sales people at the hotels, different hotels. And so sales I don't feel like is necessarily my thing. Yeah. Like if I want to share something with you, that's different, but I'm not going to try to sell you on something.
For sure.
So that's kind of how I felt. I was like, I'm going to these hotels.
Just to kind of educate them on
it. Exactly.
Like if they buy, great. If they don't, at least they know.
That's exactly it. Yeah. It didn't matter to me. I was just here to let you know about it. Mm-hmm. So sales for me is just kind of uncomfortable. And so I made an appointment with a cold call to the Marriott out near the Space and Rocket Center. And Mary Beth Lewis took the meeting with me, thank goodness. And she sat down with me, and I was telling her I've got this little thing called Touronimo, and if you'd like to share it with your clients and guests, you're welcome to. Here it is. And she said, that's cute, but what we need is a DMC. And I nod and smile like I do, and she continued to tell me that she, worked in markets with big cities, St. Mm-hmm. Louis and other places, and she said in the hospitality world and the hoteliers, they need a DMC.
Yeah, and for those who are listening that don't know what a DMC is, what is a DMC?
It is a destination management company.
Okay. And
so I did the same thing. When I got home, I Googled it, and I went, all right, what is she talking about? Yeah. Because she also, and even not knowing me, we had just met. She said, "You're the one to do it." I mean, she was very adamant about, we need this, and you need to do it. Go forth and conquer. And so it was a great meeting, and I did. I went home and I looked it up and tried to figure out what this was she was talking about. Little did we know we would have plenty of time to do
Yeah,
internet
COVID kind of put
searches.
a halt probably on Touronimo a little bit. Getting people
Exactly.
together wasn't really something that people were doing very much.
No, the
And
world was
so,
ending.
yeah, and so you
Yeah.
had the opportunity to kind of go full in on this destination Huntsville
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, exactly. And so, after, the first month of COVID, you're, it's the end of the world and you're drinking, walking around in your robe and stuff. And then it's like, oh, we might make it.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I better come up with something else. So I had done my research. I'd actually, met with some consultants to learn more about what a DMC was in some other cities. It turned out a friend of mine's sister had worked at one in Austin, Texas, so she was a great resource. So I just learned all I could about it during that time. And then I also spent some time during that, during COVID, during quarantine, trademarking and registering the logo of Touronimo.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting now how everything has come together,
Yes.
but that's what I spent my time during quarantine doing, was trademarking and registering and researching destination management companies. And so by the end of it, a friend of mine had kind of wanted to jump in and start a business as well, and she and I talked about it. So during 2021, the first part of it, we decided to start Destination Huntsville. And so together we did that. We did our LLC stuff and we did all the things and launched it in August of 2021.
Okay.
And so what was funny about that was, again, it was this little thing of, I don't know if anybody's going to like this or not, but I did up a little press release, wasn't sure where you send a press release anymore. So I posted it on LinkedIn and we got 2 calls immediately for
Wow.
big projects. And so I thought, oh, we're going to need a bigger boat.
And so for those that are listening that maybe don't really know like the target market for a Destination Huntsville and a DMC company, you're targeting these executives that are coming in to work for these companies and are traveling from across the country or across the world that are coming here to meet with people. Is that really what you would kind of wrap up as your target market, or what would it be?
The bigger target are meeting planners and being a support service for your CVB, which is Convention and Visitors Bureau. So we look at it as Convention and Visitors Bureau sell the city, like they go out and search for conferences and try to bring them to Huntsville. And then once they get here, a DMC is a support service for that conference.
And you pretty much handle all of the scheduling of the setting up like any transportation or hotels or all of that.
Anything they need help with or assistance with, anything the CVB thinks they need support with or something they can recommend us for. So yes, it would be hotel blocks. It would be transportation. It would be restaurant reservations, tours.
So your phone's constantly ringing.
Yeah, it was wild. And so because the people here that had come from big cities knew exactly what a DMC was. Yeah. And whenever I would mention it to a local, we didn't understand. I did not know.
Yeah, when we first met, I've known of Destination Huntsville. I knew sort of kind of what you did, not really. And we met like a month ago, I guess it was, at Piper and Leaf, and we were talking about it, and I was like, kind of that educational, like, please explain what this company does, because I don't really understand.
Sure.
And like my first question that was, I think it's for anyone that's listening that's like, okay, like you're like for traveling for transportation, some of these executives that come don't want to take an Uber.
Right.
I guess it's not what they want to take. And then you're like, well, we have drivers. And in my first question and my first thought was, does Huntsville have those kind of things? And apparently they do. And that was that a big sort of like eye-opening experience for you to find that? And like, how has since August of 2021, you make the post, you have 2 people that call right off the bat, this company is a thing. Like you have clients, there's a need, you're meeting the need, and you have people that are willing to pay for the need.
Yeah.
And then now you're like, okay, well now I need drivers to support this. Like how has since August of 2021, we're recording this in October of 2023, how has the support for what Destination Huntsville does kind of grown over the last 2 years as the company, I would presume, is continuing to grow and continuing to get more calls and leads and stuff.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's so great to be able to provide a service that people need. It's so great to fill in a gap. And I get to speak to some high school kids for a CEO program that I get to go talk to sometimes. And one of the things I talk to them about is the difference in creating a business that you almost have to talk people into understanding or to buying versus a service that people are asking for.
Yeah.
And you do it for them. I mean, it's just amazing. It's like pushing a rock up a hill or, the rock's chasing you now.
Yeah.
So it's the best. But yeah, so we, the first call was like 150 people that were coming to town and they needed transportation, and we helped coordinate that. The other group was a small conference that was going to be in town, and they needed help with hospitality things and just little fill-ins and stuff. So that was a great experience. I will say what I've learned is the biggest request we do get is for transportation, is coordinating it. And I explain to our people, like, I don't own the buses. I just, unlike the CVB shares information about all the services in Huntsville. They will share with you all the hotels, all the transportation, all of that. As a DMC, we can share preferred partners.
Yeah.
So we can, I can do a little price shopping. I can figure out what might fit your budget better than another one. Or, and sometimes we can get better deals because we buy in bulk.
Yeah.
So, and that's very, that's important to me too.
Yeah.
To be able to match the right services with the group so that they get exactly what they want and everybody's happy. We haven't crushed their budget or anything. Yeah. So I get to do a lot of that. But yeah, transportation has been a huge thing. We have a lot of people coming to Huntsville now to look at investment property or businesses and things like that. It was a whole nother world of people that I did not know were coming to town. And so Mary Beth actually left the Marriott shortly after the Destination Huntsville started and went to 106 Jefferson by Curio downtown on Jefferson Street. And they have a very high-end clientele there. Yeah. And so it was perfect timing. I mean, it's her fault I'm here. I always say she's a blessing and a curse, but because that's the kind of services they needed at their hotel. They needed somebody to be able to take care of these.
It's that downtown, like in the center hub of Huntsville is that hotel, and so like when people want to come to Huntsville for work or business, and they want to be close to nice restaurants, they want to be close to they want to feel like they're a part of a city that they don't really know much about. Right. I mean, staying at 106 Jefferson is that spot. Right. You have that, and you have the AC Marriott that are both really close to downtown, and they have that downtown experience. Yeah. So I would assume that first year, you launched in August of 2021, that first full year was probably a wild ride as far as figuring out how do you price these things? How do you navigate this? How do you do this?
Oh my gosh.
Did you feel like when you got to August of 2022 that you kind of had at least a general idea, or did you still feel like you were kind of throwing darts with your eyes closed?
I would say that everybody that first year got a bargain out of me because I did not know how to price things. Yeah. And even though I was getting a lot of requests, I was still nervous. Like, you don't know what the market's going to.
And you throw out a number and you're like, I don't want them to think I'm just like either like think so highly of this company that this company's only been around for 6 months, but you're also like, I don't want to just go broke and lose money.
Exactly. Yeah. So there was a lot of trial and error, figuring it out, me learning. I started, I got an accountant because I didn't want to get into any trouble tax-wise, and I knew we were profitable immediately, so I was like, all right, we got to figure this out. But what was interesting is the piece where I thought I was earning money by just tacking on $5 or $10 to the top of whatever, I was paying for something, and the accountant's like,
no, that's not how this works.
No, at all. Yeah. You're still paying your rent. You're paying for your.
You have all this overhead that you have to now support. And now, I mean, like, you now have a team that's behind you. Like, you have 2 other employees now, or So like you have their salary. You have their job is to work for you, and your job is to make sure they have a job.
Exactly.
So you're constantly having to navigate that. So like, what does So you have Touronimo in 2019. Yeah. You launched Destination Huntsville in 2021.
Yeah.
Or in 2020, I guess 2021 you said. So you have both of those. What does 2023, now that we're talking, what does it look like today for both Touronimo, Destination Huntsville, and kind of, I mean, I know there is some future DMCs that you're looking at?
Yeah. So once we figured out that the need was there, and learned that some other cities in Alabama did not have DMCs, I thought we might as well provide services there too.
100%.
I mean, yeah, if they need us, we will go, you know, there, and we will provide services, and that's fine. So it wasn't so much about conquering the state or anything. It was more about wherever we're needed, we will go.
Yeah.
So I created some other LLCs. I did Destination Birmingham, Destination Mobile. And in all of that, it was so many pieces of the puzzle. And I just wanted it to be simpler. And I thought it might be better to have like an umbrella name and serve the cities. And so a good friend of mine, Adrienne Kirk, who does graphic design, and she's just so super talented and creative, came to me and said, you know, what about having Touronimo as the umbrella company and putting the destination companies underneath? And so I sat on it a little bit because that's the baby.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't
that's the first thing that, like, that's your first entrepreneurial venture.
Yeah.
Was that.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that's an exciting and a unique thing that now it's the kind of the parent company beyond for every other company.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that it survived.
Yeah.
You know, like I would have thought really that it would kind of fade out and the destination management would take over and we'd just do the cities. But another friend, Adrian, brought Taylor Burton to the table, and he had the vision as well of that Touronimo just had more to it as far as a brand, a national brand and that sort of thing. So we just started putting everything underneath it. And I've not had time to do a ribbon cutting ever for any of the things. And so we're finally getting ready to try to make that happen in November.
Okay.
It's supposed to be this month, and I'm still working on it. But we're finishing up doing the rebranding, and now we will have Touronimo Destination Management Group, and it will have be serving Huntsville, Birmingham, and Mobile, and all other cities that need us.
And so, like, if people will be listening to this episode in December, so it's perfect timing.
Perfect.
So we're recording this October 5th, but they'll be listening to this probably second week of December or sometime.
Okay,
so it'd be perfect time for them to listen to this. So if you're listening to this, the naming, all the rebranding has happened.
Yeah.
And
fabulous.
so that's it. So, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier with just the multiple hats you wear when you're an entrepreneur, a CEO, a business owner, a small business owner, at any size, at any scale. There's multiple hats you wear. And you talk about pricing kind of being one of those things that you were like, oh wow, like people at the beginning, they got to steal. Yeah. Was pricing that biggest hat that you had to kind of learn the skill for Destination Huntsville, or would you say there was another hat that you wear or a thing you do in the business that you didn't know very much about when you first started that you kind of had to teach yourself and kind of learn over the last few years?
I do think I struggled with it, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with knowing your value.
Oh, 100%.
If it takes me 5 minutes to do something, it's not because it's a 5-minute job. It's because I know who to call. Mm-hmm. I know the right, the right questions to ask.
It's almost not. It's not really an exchange for time for services for being a small business owner. At least in like both what I do and what you do, it's not that. Yeah. It's like if the time takes me quicker, but the value and the result of what the customer's looking for is still top tier, that's what they're paying for, is the result. They're paying for you to provide good quality results.
Yes, exactly.
Not necessarily, they could care less what the time on the back end looks like.
Yeah. And so that took me it's taken me a year to price myself the way it needs to be priced, and I'm still a discount. I'm still,
I mean,
I'm still not quite there, but I'm doing so much better than I ever was before.
Is the management of people, like now having like employees, like did you have any background with that at the Leadership Huntsville or at this Trash Pandas, or is that sort of a new sort of territory that you've now kind of had to, how do I now be the boss. It's easy when it's by yourself because it's like, okay, well, like I know what I need to do today.
Yeah.
But when they're coming to me and asking me what they need to do, it's like not only are you having to delegate, you're also having to then provide results for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Team meetings when it's just me.
we're easy.
We're so easy.
Yeah. It could happen in your pajamas. It could happen. There was no discussion on where we're going to eat. It was wherever I wanted to eat. And
everybody liked what I said.
100%.
Yeah. I will say I came from a great environment at leadership where Sarah Savage was our CEO, and she was just fantastic. And so there was a real sense of teamwork, and we weren't siloed, and we enjoyed working together. We used a row system where it's results only work environment, so it's not a 9 to 5 hours. You did your job. It was more goal oriented, and so I took that really with me. I knew I would be like that when I started my own business. That employees are team members, and we're all in this together. And as long as we understand the vision, like however we get there is fine.
Yeah.
Like if you get your work done on Monday and we don't meet again until Friday, then
that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah. If you got it done in a coffee shop or if you got it done in your office, it doesn't matter to me.
And I think that's so unique that you had that experience.
It is.
At Leadership Huntsville at the time. I mean, at the time, like in 2010, 2011, like that's something that seems like now it's something that everyone's adopted.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I am fortunate enough to have an intern, college intern for me. And I'm like, I don't care when you do it. I don't care if you work 6 months ahead. I don't care, like, whatever. Like, if something comes up and I need you to do something, I'll send it to you. Yeah. Like, hey, could you create this for me? Could you create this? But he has some of my clients with content done for, the rest of the year. And I'm just like, it's off my plate. Like, and he loves doing it. He is enjoying, and it's like, and that's the way, like, I could, as my thing continues to grow, like, I don't want you to come into the office. My office is for me. Like, I want to be in my office.
Exactly.
And like, you can, like, honestly, like, let's have team meetings. Let's do this. Let's have this. Make sure we're all in the same, like we're all going in the right direction. At the end of the day, like that's really what you're looking for, and it doesn't matter where you're at to do it.
Exactly. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Like it's a great feeling.
Weird concept.
Yeah. What a weird concept.
You just do what you've been asked to do, and it doesn't matter if you were sitting at your desk and how many people that are doing the 9 to 5 are on social media because they don't have the work to do. They're done. Yeah. They're finished. It's ridiculous. But I had a fantastic experience with that. I mean, it was, if you have a laptop and you have a phone,
you can do it all.
You're good. Yeah. It's not necessary. And I really felt like we worked harder because of that, because we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We worked when we wanted to.
Yeah. So if something needed to get it done, you got it done.
Exactly. At 11 p.m., if I'm up and I want to work on something, I can do that. I can shoot off some emails or, do whatever I want. And it's a different vibe. And so that was something I wanted to carry on to our office, and I do that. I tell the women that are supporting what we're doing, if you need structure, like if you need a desk, if you want to get out of the house, you can come in. If you all want to work together, we have a shared calendar, and so they put the times on the calendar that they're going to be in the office, and so I do try to be there whenever they're in,
100%.
Just so that. One, if they need me, just two, for the camaraderie of it all, to just be a team. And I enjoy them. And
I think there's one thing that I've missed. Like I've not had I've been fortunate enough to basically come out of college and do this full time. Yeah. But I have internships and I've been in that, 9 to 5-ish kind of realm doing marketing for companies as an intern, and it was one of those things. It's nice when you're together to like brainstorm, and I do miss that. And I think like as my team grows, it's like let's find times to meet in person. Let's find times for us to go to lunch. Like if my intern's back from college, like hey, when are you back? I'll like let's go to lunch. So like those things are really important. But on I would say 60% of the time, 70% of the time, you can just work from home.
Absolutely.
Oh, you want to go to the beach for a week with your family? Take your laptop. Yes. You'll be fine. Like, exactly. And I think there's so much that can be done there's so much that can be done when you're not constrained to working at a certain time of the day.
I agree.
And I think you honestly get more done, and you're not like, okay, well, like I have to make this job last until I go home at 5:00.
Yeah, gosh.
Like, why would you want to do that?
Terrible.
Like, why don't you get this job done now and you can go home at noon? Yeah. Like, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah. Like, I can go home and go on a run. I can go work out. Like, it's not like I'm having to drag this one thing on forever. Right. If someone's listening and they have an entrepreneurial itch, they have this desire to start their own thing, from your journey in 2019 to now in 2023, what sort of advice would you give them?
Don't do it. Go get a job at Taco Bell. They need you there.
Yeah, I mean,
I really thought I had it in my head that this must be a calling because it's not easy. It's not always fun. Mostly it's not fun. And so it must just be a calling. Like it must be something I was destined to do. And then I was talking to another entrepreneur who's in like year 13 and he goes, or you're just in too deep to quit. And I went, oh my God.
You just can't stop.
It might be that. It's like you just keep betting, placing your bets. I guess I would say be sure that this is for you because it's just not easy. And I'm no quitter, so I would hate for you to start something and then you have to quit.
Yeah.
The other thing I would be is unless you have something you're just super passionate about, find a service. Find a service business. Okay, maybe a concrete company isn't glamorous or owning a dump truck or a cleaner.
There's a lot of people that need all of those.
Oh my gosh, like who, how did we not figure out that hair stylists and nail people how valuable those were, back in 2020? I mean, where there was a will, there was a way. Women were getting their hair and nails done. We were figuring that out. So those kind of things to me, like, I don't know, provide a service. Yeah. Figure out what everybody is
there's a service that's out there. Like if you think you can do it better, then someone's probably willing to pay for it.
Absolutely. Just, I know there's some cool, I don't want to name off some of the things that I've seen, but people come to me with these ideas and I just think, good Lord, why would you try to force everybody to understand what that is and do it? What are you in it for? Are you in it as a lifestyle or a hobby business, or are you trying to build something? Are you trying to create an empire? And so you just have to figure out what it is. What is it you want? I was talking to a friend last week, and she was telling me about a woman she knows, and she had concrete business, and I said, good for her. Good God, people need concrete.
Yeah.
That's not going to go out of style.
What's all been happening in Huntsville? Like,
The
amount of you can't leave my office at Lincoln Mill and not see something under construction.
Absolutely.
You can't go down the parkway without seeing something being built. Yeah. Like, and there's things like that it's just like, okay, like I think, it's one of those, it's a tough lesson to learn sometimes, like passion versus a service that's needed. Yeah. But then often your passion that you have can be tied into a service that's needed, and figuring out what that is. It's a tough thing to do. Yeah. Like exactly. It's not easy. We can talk about it all day and make it sound easy. It's not easy.
No. Owning a food truck sounds fun.
Yeah. Sounds like a blast.
But oh my gosh,
I
can't imagine how hard that work is. I mean,
not for me.
And so maybe there's somebody that's what they want to do. It's their dream and it's fun and they're just going to do it on weekends. But if you're really looking to build something, I mean, I don't know. I think there might be easier ways. Yeah. I don't know.
So thinking through this journey from 2019 to 2023 and kind of even what the future looks like, how much of your success would you contribute to being in the right place at the right time? And how much would you contribute to your hard work?
Oh, hard work. I think absolutely. I don't know. I guess there's a little piece of that right place, right time, but I don't know. I think everything has been a little stepping stone to where I am now. Everything has kind of prepared me. I can see that looking back now. Yeah. But I think too, you really have to do your best at every step.
For sure.
Along the journey. Like you really have to get the most out of each piece of it, even if that's not where you're going to stay. Mm-hmm. Just like with leadership, like I just dove in. That was my life. I loved it, gave it everything I had. Out at the stadium, gave it everything I had, even not liking baseball. So, I think you have to kind of give it your all or get what you can out of each step along the way and then see what happens.
Yeah. So if anyone's listening, last question I always ask every guest, if anyone's listening and they want to find out more about Touronimo, Destination Huntsville, any of your other DMCs that you have, where are you at on social media? What's your website? Where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me anywhere. I'm on LinkedIn. That's a great place. It's Jenny Askins. Of course, the businesses are on all social media platforms, Destination Huntsville and Touronimo, which they'll all be under Touronimo by the time this comes out.
Perfect.
But yeah, you can just anyway. And I'm so accessible. I mean, my cell phone number is actually on the website. So if anybody needed to call me or send me a Facebook message or something.
Yeah, and we'll have all your information in the episode notes. So if anyone's listening and they want to find those direct links, we'll have all those in the episode notes. But thank you for spending the last 45 minutes or so talking to me about a little bit about Touronimo, Destination Huntsville, the future for the future DMCs I think you'll have, and the success you'll have for those and across the state and even beyond Alabama moving forward. And I continue to look for the success you'll have for years to come. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It was fun.